Good day everyone, I am by Jasmine M. Pangolima. Along with my partner, we will tackle about accommodations.
Accommodations and curricular modifications. Students with disabilities and additional needs who are studying in an inclusive general education classroom may need accommodations in the form of instructional support and other supplementary services, while others who need more intensive support are provided with curricular modifications.
So what is accommodation? Accommodations are supports provided to students to help gain full access to class content and instruction without altering the curriculum standards and competencies expected, and also to demonstrate accurately what they know. When accommodations are provided in a general education classroom for children with disabilities, barriers are removed from accessing education. As a result, children can work around the effect of their disabilities.
Accommodations support students with disabilities in their education. Academic accommodations help to remove barriers to learning that exist for students with disabilities. They ensure that all students have the same level of access to education. Sometimes people believe that using accommodations gives students an unfair advantage, or that having accommodations is a privilege, but it's not, it's a right. Having a disability means that a barrier exists, and proper accommodations remove that barrier. Nothing more and nothing less. Think of someone who wears eyeglasses. Does this person have any special advantage or power over the other students who aren't wearing glasses? No. But if they didn't wear glasses, they wouldn't be able to read the blackboard or the textbook or their exam. Having poor vision would act as a barrier in their learning and assessment, and it has nothing to do with intelligence. For a student wearing glasses, even with accommodations, you still have to do the thinking yourself. If someone tells you it's not fair that you have an accommodation, remind yourself that accommodations simply remove barriers, whether other people can see them or not. Having to learn or be assessed while fighting with anxiety, a slow processing speed, or through poor vision or hearing means that you're not able to learn at your full potential. You owe it to yourself and your brain to be at your best, use your accommodations, and show off your hard work.
Well, I hope that video helps to fully understand accommodation. Accommodations also may be provided both during assessment and instruction, depending on the learning profile and needs of a child, and may vary in terms of presentation, response, setting, and scheduling.
So first accommodation that we can provide is presentation accommodation. So children with disabilities may need specialized presentation formats, especially those with sensory impairments, so they can learn the same content alongside typically developing peers. Here are the examples of accommodation in presentation that we can provide on their specific learning needs. First is visual support. Visual supports are often used with children who have autism or children who has difficulties on communicating. We can minimize visual distraction as they are easily distracted. Next is we can provide them a visual cues such as color-coded text or highlighting the words. Next, we can use larger print materials. Also, we can use sign language. And videos with closed captioning so that children can listen to words through sounds and read them at the same time. Next is auditory and comprehension support. We can provide these accommodations to those who has difficulties on understanding the word they hear. We can let them read aloud by a peer. We can also use audiobooks, digital text that reads aloud, or we give them definition of words, text-to-speech software, advanced organizer or story guide, and highlighting or color coding. So next is for those who have difficulties on listening and focusing. So we can give them advanced organizers, explicit verbal or visual cues, repeat or clarify directions and important information, note-taking support, and copy of directions. So the second accommodation is response accommodation. So what is response accommodation? So response accommodation allows students with disabilities and additional needs a variety of ways to complete assignments, written tests, performance tasks, and other activities. So providing such instructional and assessment supports allows them to access the same learning experiences as other students in a general education classroom.
Now here are the examples of response accommodations for students with disabilities and additional needs. First is for those who have writing difficulties such as errors in spacing, visual perceptual or spatial orientation, and illegible handwritings. We can use different size or diameter of pencil, marker, or crayon. We can give them a pencil or pen grip with triangular or pear-shaped. We can scribe to record dictated responses, and also we can provide them a finger spacer. It is a tool for spacing between letters and words that they can use, and handwriting template or guide on the student's desk. We can give them visual cues on paper and different types and sizes of paper. Next is for those who has written expression difficulties. We can provide them an electronic dictionary with spell check, online dictionary, or word processor with spelling and grammar check. Also, we can give them a writing cue cards, list of sight words, and writing templates, outlines, and graphic organizers. Now here are the examples of writing templates and graphic organizers.
So these accommodations could help those who have difficulties on math. Like we can provide them a calculator, concrete models and manipulatives, visual presentation, or we can also give them problem-solving guides, graphic organizers, and special paper or graphing paper for solving. Now that is the first and second accommodations. The rest will discuss by my partner.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Adrian Panganiban, and I'm going to tackle with you about setting accommodations. What is setting accommodations? Setting accommodations changes in the location or conditions of the educational setting or environment may be necessary for students who need support in terms of behavior, attention, and organization of space and materials. So the question is, how important setting accommodation? It is very important because if you accommodate students in different settings, it can reduce distraction to students at the same time to reduce distraction to other students. As we all know, special education students have their natural and desired movement. So in order to avoid distraction to another students, we future educators need to accommodate them to another setting, which where they are able to learn. Another is accommodate students to another setting according to their physical access. For example, accommodate them in the setting that they can use their mode of access like auditory, multisensory, tactile, and visual. And because of this setting accommodation, you can allow your students to complete activities, assignments, and assessment. So the next accommodation that I will tackle is about scheduling accommodations. Scheduling accommodations. Students with slower ability in processing information and directions, while as with focusing issues, may need these types of accommodation. Basically, scheduling accommodation, or we can call it timing accommodation, is accommodating the students in an amount of time that they can complete their assessments or assignments. So in order to accommodate them in that amount of time, perhaps you must change the way the time is organized. Another is accommodating them in a break time, because giving break time to special education students help them to rest from excessively using their intellectual activity. Examples of scheduling accommodations are extending time for assignments and assessments, providing breaks in between tasks, providing a visual schedule or a checklist of individual responsibilities, providing predictable routines and procedures, and the last, providing an electronic device with alarms and cues. Fair does not mean equal. Students and some teachers may worry that having extra supports in place for some students gives them an unfair advantage. But it's important to remember that all students have individual strengths and needs. Accommodations and modifications are designed to level the playing field. Focusing on equity can help give everyone a chance to thrive in the classroom. Despite all of that, the type of accommodation any one child with a disability receives is based on an individual consideration of that child's needs. That's all, and thank you for listening.